Shabbat Shalom, Miss Pakadas and Mori Medad Yahoo Ben Yashriel. I want to welcome you to another live broadcast of My Living Branch. So we are going to finish up our series today, but we'll see if that's the Father's desire. The journey of a bride. And we will be exploring the last three temptations. But we got to revisit some stuff. So we'll be doing that also. So I pray everyone is well. And we'll give just a little bit of time for our Miss Paka to get on. And again, we say Shabbat Shalom to all of our Miss Paka scattered to the four corners of the earth. And if you need to email me, you can reach me at info@mylivingbranch.org. So let's get started. We're going to pray. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah Eloheinu Malek Ha'olam. Father, we say, Todah Rabbah, thank you, Father, for all of your goodness. Thank you for the kindness that you have shown towards us. Your servants, we are asking you, Father, to keep our minds steadfast, keep our hearts in tune, so that we can do the things that are pleasing in your sight. We're asking you, Father, as we go through this lesson, that you would give us a renewed sense of commitment and evaluation of ourselves. We are thankful, Father, that we've made it this far. Without you, we could not have made it. So we say Todah Rabbah for all you're doing. In the name of Mashiach Yahusha, Hallel to Yahuwah. Amen. All righty, so I trust that everyone is having a wonderful Shabbat. Wherever you may be in the world, that you're staying safe, and that most of all, you're putting the Father first in everything. So let's get down to business. Since nobody hasn't said anything about the sound must be okay. Keep in mind that during the stream, if the stream gets choppy or happens to go out, that I will be putting the live recording from this stream up on YouTube without the choppiness and all that good stuff. So Shabbat Shalom, let's get started. Oh, we way on the other end of the slides. Let me get you back the way we supposed to be. Fast track you. All right. Now we can go back to the beginning, because he declared the end out of the beginning. So we know our Omer challenge is coming to a conclusion. So just some things I want you to do. And this is personal stuff for each and every one of us. What did you learn about yourself doing this challenge? Was the challenge harder? If so, why? Okay, these are things I want you to ask yourself. What can you improve within you to be a better future bride? Okay, then if you would like to leave comments, you can leave comments under the Omer Challenge feedback on the website. That's already up there. If you would like to leave a testimony, feedback, or anything that will help us for our future challenges. So let's get into this lesson. So we're going to start here like Adam. Now, different translators translated different. Some of them translated Adam, some translated person. But regardless, there's a sense we need to get out of this. This is in Hosea 6 verse 4. Ephraim, what would I do with you? Yehuda, what would I do with you? For your loving commitment is like a morning cloud, and like the morning dew, it goes away. Now, I want you to hear what this is saying. Because as a bride, you cannot base your feelings or your obedience, that's better, your obedience on your feelings or emotions. It's all based on a choice. Because feelings and emotions can be like the cloud. It can be here one minute, gone the next. Then it comes down to a decision. Therefore, if I have hewn them by the prophets, I have killed them by the words of my mouth, my right rulings break forth as light. For I delight in loving commitment and not slaughtering. Some versions will say sacrifice. In the knowledge of Elohim more than ascending offerings. But like Adam, so that's where some translations say Adam, some say persons. They transgressed the covenant, and they acted treacherously against me. So we've got to make sure we stay in line. You know, whether it's talking about a person or the first man. And what we're going to go into, I'm not going to get too deep, but I want to do something to cause you to think a little bit more. Because when we go back to the garden scenario, and Maury Lamont touched on this, Lamont Yahoo touched on this during his lesson, that Adam that he actually did idolatry. He worshiped an idol. So we need to piece all this together, and we got to pull back in some stuff we had last week. Because a lot of us, you know, hey, I don't have a statue, I don't have this, you know, I don't have that. So, you know, it doesn't fall in that category, but we've got to look just a little deeper. Okay, let's look at Exodus 20, verse 1. And Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image. And this is where I think we need to really look, or any likeness. That word likeness can cover a gamut of things. Of that which is in the heavens, or Shamaim above, in the earth beneath, or which is in the Mayim under the Eretz, or the water under the earth. And you do not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am a jealous El, vision the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those that hate me, and showing loving commitment to thousands to those who love me and guard or keep my commandments. So when we start looking here at carved images, it's just what it says it is, whether of wood or stone. But when we look at likeness, and we talk about Timuna, you see something a little different, something portioned, fashioned out as a shape, and definitely a phantom, embodiment, manifestation. So, and the root word, which is means a sort, species. So when we start, and notice he talked about three different areas. He talked about we should not make heaven above, earth beneath, or the waters under the earth. Now, when you start researching all these things, it goes beyond just an image. Okay? Because when Adam was in the garden, he didn't create an image. But what became his idol flowed through words. It was what the serpent said that caused Howard to be deceived and Adam to transgress. Because he knew he wasn't deceived. So there's more in that picture. And you have to see the catalyst that the Nakash used was words. And these words just happened to flow from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And this is where people really, because you can take words and you can actually make the words your idol. It doesn't have to be a physically carved image. Okay? And when we look back over all of the temptations that we have covered, what was the number one thing you see flowing out of the mixed multitude, out of those that were among Israel? They would start with words, and then what would they do? They would murmur and complain. I don't have water. I don't have food. You brought us out here to die in this wilderness. Their words was a part of their committing idolatry. They clave more to those words than to what the Father had promised and what he said he would do. This is why I am so adamant about who you let speak into your life and who you let teach certain principles of scripture into your life. Some people go to all these different teachers, want to dine at all these different tables, and what you're basically getting is a mixture. But for you, since you're learning, you don't see it because your skill set in the word is not built up enough yet to be able to identify. Okay, and we're going to see this when we get to one of our, where they tempted him in the wilderness. So I want to remind you of this scripture. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just read a couple of verses. And some of the elders of Israel came to me and sat before me. And the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, Son of man, these men set up their idols in their hearts. So what can occupy your mind? Because when you're talking about heart, we're talking about your mind. Words. That's why we've been teaching and mentioning all the mores. More Lamai, more Canaan, more Yeshurun. We've been mentioning gates and guarding your gates. You got to have Torah at all your gates. Because the thing that's trying to get access to you to cause you to stumble is going to be words. To help to try to set up these things. And this is why you've got to be adamant. People like to try to pull you to the side to speak words to you. And when they speak those words, what happens? Now them words are going over and over in your mind. And it's hard to shake. But see, when people come, give you an example. A brother or sister comes and wants to tell something about another brother or sister. Well, the easiest way to get that straight, let's pull the brother or sister in that you're talking about. Because the words that they're speaking, if you don't properly address those words, now those words will sit on your mind. And when you see that person, that brother or sister, those words cause you to act funny towards them. Now, you tell me those words didn't just become an idol. Those words changed your behavior from what Torah told you should be doing to now those words have penetrated and caused you to act differently from what Torah has told you to act towards your brother or sister. So those words, in essence, became an idol in your mind. That's why you don't, when people bring words to you and try to drop them on you, immediately bring the other. Well, let's get so and so that you and see what you're saying is true about that person. See, some people operate in the spirit of Nakash, but we're not willing to call Nakash into question when he's operating through a person. We just let it go. No, don't let it go. Let's take him before. Bring that person in. Is this true what she's saying or he's saying? And I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, that person will stop bringing stuff to you once you put them in check. Okay? But if you keep letting this person come, these words are just building a throne on you. And it's going to change your behavior. It's going to change how you act towards people. I've seen this play out so many times it's not even funny. Okay? And it becomes a stumbling block. Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their hearts and have put the stumbling blocks of their crookedness before their face. Shall I let them inquire of me at all? So go back and read this. And if you don't believe I'm telling you the truth, you'll find out because it's coming your way. Now, this is the warning against idolatry. Okay, and we're going to 1 Corinthians. And that's what I've been trying to tell you, that the idolatry, they didn't take the idols out of Mitzrayim. They took the words and the thoughts that were embedded in them out of Mitzrayim. And then when they got in the wilderness, those things that were already on their heart and mind began to manifest through their words. Oh, I remember when we were back in Mitzrayim or Egypt and we ate this and we ate that. Oh, you brought us out here in this wilderness to die of thirst. You're going to kill our children, kill the animals. So now it manifests in words. Remember, Scripture tells us that the power of life and death is in the tongue. A bride has to know how to speak with seasoned words. You've got to know how to speak with wisdom. Because if you don't, instead of building the house, you would tear the house down. Okay, so let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. For I do not wish you to be ignorant, brethren, that all of our fathers were under the cloud, all passed through the sea, all were immersed into motion in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed, and the rock was Messiah. However, with most of them, Elohim was not well pleased, for they were laid low in the wilderness, and these became examples for us. So that's why I'm going back through these. I know we're doing a little reading, but we need to go back through them so that we should not lust after evil as those indeed lusted. And do not become idolaters as some of them. As it has been written, the people sat down to eat and to drink and stood up to play. Neither should we commit whoring as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 fell. Neither let us try Messiah as some of them also tried and were destroyed by the serpents. Neither grumble as some of them also grumbled and were destroyed by the destroyer. And all these came upon them as examples. And they were written as a warning to us, on whom the ends of the age have come, so that he who thinks he stands, let him take heed lest he fall. Okay, so we've read this before, but we'll just, Numbers 14, verse 20. And Yahuwah said, I shall forgive according to your word. But truly, as I live, and all earth is filled with the esteem of Yahuwah. For none of these men who have seen my esteem and the signs which I did in Mitzrayim and in the wilderness have tried me now these 10 times and have disobeyed my voice shall see the land of which I swore to their fathers. Neither any of those who scorn me see it. Okay, so we've read this a couple of times. Now I want you to see what Ezekiel said in Ezekiel 20 about how idols destroy. Starting at verse 15. And I myself also lifted up my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, not to bring them into the land which I have given them, flowing with milk and honey, and the splendor of all lands. Now listen to why. Because they rejected my right rulings and did not walk in my laws, they profaned my Shabbats. For their heart went after their idols. And my eye pardoned them from destroying them. I did not make an end of them in the wilderness. And I said to their children in the wilderness, do not walk in the laws of your fathers. So listen to what it's saying. They're creating their own way of doing things. Instead of following his law, they make up their own laws and walk in it. Nor observe their rulings, nor defile yourself with their idols. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Walk in my laws and guard my right rulings and do them. Okay, so let's look at example 8. Because remember, all of these things are given for an example for us. So I put 2 different versions here. The first one I put is the scriptures. But The ESV had a good reading, so I wanted to read that one too. Okay, Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to be when the people were as complainers. Okay, what do you do when you complain? What comes out of your mouth? Words. It was evil in the ear of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah heard it, and his displeasure burned. And the fire of Yahuwah burned among them and consumed those in the outskirts of the camp. And the people cried out to Moshe, and Moshe prayed to Yahuwah, and the fire died down. Then he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahuwah had burned among them. And just a note, in the Targum of Jonathan, and the ungodly of the people were in distress and intended and meditated evil before Yahuwah. So watch out for complainers. Okay, this is the ESV. And the people complained in the hearing of Yahuwah about their misfortunes. Okay, so I always stress, I hear so many people reiterate about their situation and what they're going through. But I always try to redirect their thought process, because you hear me say many times, he's not trying to change your situation. So if you had some misfortune, he's not trying to, misfortune didn't come just to hang around. Things come to change you. He's not trying to change your situation. He's trying to change you. And when you change, you take responsibility, you take ownership, and stop blaming your misfortunes on everybody else, and start seeing that I'm here because of decisions I make. I have to make better decisions. I have to include the Father totally in my decisions. Let him give me direction, so that's how he's changing you, because now you're not just, okay, the situation's the driving force. The Father's the driving force now. And I just want him to take full control and guide me in this process. I've guided myself long enough. I've used my own wisdom long enough. I've relied on my thoughts, my feelings, and what I've learned long enough. Father, now I surrender to your direction and how you want to steer me, how you want to guide me. Okay, I'm going to read that first part one more time. And the people complained in the hearing of Yahuwah about their misfortunes. And when Yahuwah heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of Yahuwah burned among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moshe, and Moshe prayed to Yahuwah, and the fire died down. So just remember, who is he trying to change? What is he trying to change? You or your situation? You said you wanted to be closer to him. You said you wanted to be more like him. You said you wanted to do all these wonderful things for him, but yet you're not willing to open yourself up to him bringing about the change in you. And before you know it, you got a whole different outlet. You got a whole different outlet, a whole different outlook on what you're going through. And it doesn't seem as bad anymore. It's like, okay, Father got this. Trust me. I'm not telling you this stuff because of some book I read. Trust me, I've had to go through some things. And I had to learn the stuff through a process. And because of everything I've been through, and any of you know the personal stories, I know, okay, let him guide you. This here for a reason. Don't complain about it. You know, focus on what is righteous and not necessarily on your immediate need. See, they focused on the immediate need, water, food, you know, their circumstance. But when you focus on the word takes you to his promise. And his promise said that he's going to deliver exactly what he said. Okay, let's go to 9. And the mixed multitude who were in their midst lusted greatly. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, now notice, this mixed multitude caused them to start to use words. What are their words saying? Listen to their words. Who is giving us meat to eat? Immediate need. Then comes the reflection. We remember the fish which we ate without cost in Mitzrayim, and the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our being is dried up. Now is not to look at but this manna. Oh my goodness. Now the manna was like coriander seed in its likeness, like the appearance of Bilam. The people went about and gathered it, grind it into millstones, and beat it in the mortar, and cooked it in the pots, and made cakes. And its taste was the taste of cakes baked in oil, with oil. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell on it. And Moshe heard the people weeping through their clans, and each man at his door of his tent. And the displeasure of Yahuwah burned exceedingly. In the eyes of Moshe it was evil. So Moshe said to Yahuwah, why have you done evil to your servant? Why have I not found favor in your eyes to put the burden of all these people on me? Was it I who conceived all these people? Was it I who brought them forth? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a foster father carries a nursing child, to the land which you swore to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give all these people? For they weep before me, saying, give us meat to eat. I am unable to bear all these people alone, because the burden is too heavy for me. And if you are doing this to me, kill me. Please kill me, if I have found favor in your eyes, and let me not see my evil. Okay, now if you remember the other situation with Jethro, he listened to his father's advice. Now he's coming to Jethro. He listened to the advice of Jethro, his father-in-law. But now he's coming to Yahuwah saying, hey, this is too much for me. Okay, verse 16. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, gather to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be elders of the people and officers over them. and bring them to the tent of appointment. Let them stand there with you. And I shall come down and speak with you there, and shall take the spirit that is on you and put on them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you do not bear it yourself alone. And say to the people, set yourself apart for tomorrow. You shall eat meat, because you have wept in the ear of Yahuwah, saying, who is giving us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Mitzrayim. And Yahuwah shall give you meat, and you shall eat. You are going to eat not 1 day, not 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a new month or of days, until it comes out of your nostrils, and before an abomination becomes an abomination to you, because you have rejected Yahuwah, who is among you. Key word, among you. And have wept before him, saying, why did we come up out of Mitzrayim? And Moshe said, the people in whose midst I am are 600,000 men on foot. And you said, I give them meat to eat for a new month of days, basically for a whole month. Could flocks and herds be slaughtered for them to suffice for them? Or could all fish in the sea be gathered together for them to be sufficient for them? And Yahuwah said to Moshe, is the arm of Yahuwah too short? Now look whether my word meets you or not. And Moshe went out and spoke to the people the words of Yahuwah, and he gathered the 70 of the elders of the people and placed them around the tent. And Yahuwah came down the cloud and spake to him, and took the spirit that was upon him and placed the same spirit upon the 70 elders. And it came to be that when the spirit rested on them, that they prophesied, but did not continue. However, 2 men remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, the name of the other was Medad, or Madad. And the spirit rested on them, and now they were among those listed, but did not go out to the tent. They prophesied in the camp. And the young man ran and informed Moshe and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Yahushua the son of Nun, Moshe's assistant from his youth, answered and said, Moshe, my master, forbid them. Then Moshe said to him, are you jealous for my sake? Oh, that all the people of Yahuwah were prophets, and that Yahuwah would put his spirit upon them. And Moshe turned to the camp, both he and the elders of Israel. And a wind went forth from Yahuwah, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall before the camp about a day's journey on the other side, and about a day's journey on this side, and about a day's journey on the other side. And all around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground. And the people were up all that day and all that night and all the next day, and gathered the quail. And he who had least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, and the wrath of Yahuwah burned against the people, and Yahuwah struck the people with an exceeding great plague, when he called the name of the place Kabroth Hata'awah, because there they buried the people who had lusted. So I want you to notice the cycle of words. How words can move people in the right direction. Words can move people in the wrong direction. We've got to be very, 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 very careful about our words. Said it before, I say it again. The power of life and death is in your tongue. And you've got to ask yourself, the words in my speaking, are they reflecting the Father's words? Or are the words I'm speaking a mixture? Because the mixture is what he hates. You've got to reflect his words. Okay, now we're going to get to the last one. And you're going to see just how words can move people as an idol. It doesn't matter what the Father has promised. Remember, in a likeness. So words can have a resemblance, but it can have a mixture, or words can totally contradict. And you can set up words on your heart that can cause you to stumble and others to stumble. So let's look here. Let's pull this up. Okay, we're going to start at the Numbers 13:25. And I sure hope that this is helping you. Because even among our people, there are people that secretly use words. And you've got to steer clear. Yes, this is a warning. If they can't say it in the open, they don't really they shouldn't say it at all. That's the best way to be. So at the end of 40 days, they returned. And let me remind you, I'm reading you this because it is an example. So that you can see what they did and you don't make the same mistakes. At the end of 40 days, they returned from spying out the land. And they came to Moshe and Aharon and to all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. And they brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, we came to the land which you sent us. Okay, notice, it flows with milk and honey. So that's a reflection of the Father's words, because that's what the Father told them. And this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of Negev. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan or Jordan River. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. Okay, so everything, because Moshe told them to bring back report of what was there, what was the people like, what was the city. But here's where the words go left. And here is where they did not believe the promise that the Father had given them and told them that he was going to bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey and give it to them. They did not believe his words. So you got to make sure that your words don't formulate against his words. Because now when you do that, your words becomes an idol before his face. Because your words don't match what his words are saying. And this is flowing from your heart, from in you. Then the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are." So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone to spy out is a land that devours its inhabitants. All the people that we saw in it were of great height. And there we saw the Nephilim, the son of Anak, who came from the Nephilim. And we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them." Okay, going on to verse 1 of the 14th chapter. Then all the listen what the congregation did. Those words that were spoken set up as an idol before the congregation. It did not resemble any of the words that the Father had spoke. So I'm here to tell you that when we are looking at this, words can set up as idols so easily. And look what it does to the congregation. Then all the congregation raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. Man, that sounds like those words got them weeping. Isn't there another spirit that caused people to weep? Was it Tammuz? Just trying to make you think. And all the people of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aharon. The whole congregation said to them, "Would that we had died in the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, or would that we have died in the wilderness. Why is Yahuwah bringing us into this land to fall by the sword?" Now, where are they getting this from? This is what these idol words, these words that have become idols, is producing. Because if they had faith operates on the word of Elohim. Faith cometh by hearing, hearing by the word of Elohim. They would be speaking a whole different thing. So it's not hard to identify whether it's coming from the Father or whether these words are coming from an idol that's been set up on the heart. Why is Yahuwah bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become a prey. Would it not be better for us to go back to Mitzrayim? And they said one to another, "Let us choose a leader to go back to Mitzrayim." Look at when these words become an idol on your heart. You weep before these words. Basically, you're worshiping these words. It's going to pull you back to the main source, and that's bondage, where he brought you out of slavery. Then Moshe and Aharon fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of Israel. And Yahushua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jonaphanah, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation of the people of Israel, the land which we passed through to spy, it is an exceedingly good land. If Yahuwah delights in us, now how does Yahuwah delight in you? He delights in you when you delight in his word. You delight in what he's spoken. And delight means you carry out. If Yahuwah delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahuwah, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and Yahuwah is with us. Do not fear them. Then all the congregation, look where this idol worship is taking it. And I know I might seem like I'm taking this a bit far, but I'm trying to drive this home for you. This idol worship of words took them to the point that they wanted to sacrifice. And all the congregation said to stone them with stones. But the esteem of Yahuwah appeared at the tent of meeting to all of the people of Israel. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, how long will this people despise me? How long will they not believe in me in spite of all the signs that I have done among them? I will strike them with pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. The humble servant, Moshe. But Moshe said to Yahuwah, then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought up this people in your might from among them, and they will tell the inhabitants of this land, and they have heard that you, O Yahuwah, are in the midst of this people. For you, O Yahuwah, are seen face to face, and your cloud stands over them, and you go before them, a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you kill this people as one man, then the nations who have heard your fame will say, it is because Yahuwah was not able to bring this people into the land that he swore to give to them, that he has killed them in the wilderness. And now please let the power of Yahuwah be great as you have promised, saying, Yahuwah is slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means, listen to this, clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations. Please pardon the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you have forgiven this people from Egypt until now. We only got a little bit more to read, but I want you to hear this whole story, and really see how these words set up as idols on their heart. And we've got to be so careful. That's why it says, even the fool, when he hold his peace, is counted as being wise. Then Yahuwah said, I have pardoned according to your word. But truly as I live, and all the earth shall be filled with the esteem of Yahuwah. None of the men who have seen my esteem and my signs that I did in Mitzrayim, Egypt, and in the wilderness, yet have put me to test these 10 times, and have not obeyed my voice. Okay, so here's another gamut for us. We obey what's written, but sometimes he'll speak to you about your particular situation. And to get guidance, you have to listen to his voice. Where is he leading you? How is he directing you? See, shall the land that I swore be given to their fathers, and none of these who despise me shall see it. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land, into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now, since the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valley, turn tomorrow and set out for the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Okay, we only got a little bit more. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, how long shall this wicked congregation grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumble against me. Say to them, as I live, declared Yahuwah, what you have said in my hearing, I will do to you. Your dead bodies shall fall in this wilderness, and all your number listed in the census from 20 years old and upward, who have grumbled against me, not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except Caleb, the son of Yephonah, and Yahushua, the son of Nun. But your little ones, whom you said would become a prey, I will bring in, and they shall know the land that you have rejected. But as for you, your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness, and your children shall be shepherds in the wilderness 40 years, and shall suffer for your faithlessness until the end of your dead body lies in the wilderness. According to the number of days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, a year for each day. You shall bear your iniquity 40 years, and you shall know my displeasure. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. Surely this will I do to all this wicked congregation who has gathered together against me in this wilderness. They shall come to a full end, and there they shall die. And Moses and the men whom Moshe sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing up a bad report about the land, the men who brought up the bad report of the land died by plague before Yahuwah. See, this consequence, we can talk grace, but there's always a penalty to pay. Of those who went to spy out the land, only Yahushua, Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Yephonah, remained alive. When Moshe told these words to all the people mourned greatly. And they rose early in the morning and went to the heights of the hilltop, saying, more disobedience. See, let me just tell you this. If you mess up doing something, don't go back and think that you're going to try to redo that thing. Wait for his instructions. Wait for him patiently. See, okay, well, Father, I messed up here. What's my next move? And they rose early in the morning and went to the heights of the hill, saying, here we are. We will go up to the place that Yahuwah has promised, for we have sinned. But Moshe said, why now are you transgressing the command of Yahuwah, when that will not succeed? Do not go up, for Yahuwah is not among you, lest you be struck down by your enemies. For there the Amalekites and the Canaanites are facing you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned back from following Yahuwah, and Yahuwah will not be with you. So when you mess up, the best thing you can do is ask for forgiveness, wait for his instruction. Where does he want you to go next? Don't backtrack. Where does he want you to go next in this particular instance? Okay? But they presumed to go up to the heights of the hill of the country, although neither the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah nor Moses departed out of the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived in that hill country came down and defeated them and pursued them even to Hormah. So this whole thing evolves around words becoming idols. Just like in the garden, Shaitan's word became an idol to Adam. Watch who you let speak into your life. Some people are very subtle in how they do things. And if you're not careful, you'll fall victim. But I'll say this, as for me and my house, we're going to worship Yahuwah Elohim. So, Father, thank you. I hope that this lesson has helped. I hope it has been a guide. Remember the Path to Yahuwah, they're going to have a lesson today on Zoom and you can go to their website to get that the Zoom number. Go to the path to Yahuwah.com. So I believe their lesson is going to be at 5 o'clock. So make sure you jump on that. So I want to pray. Let's pray, Miss Bakah. Father, I say Todah Rabbah. Ask you to continue to cause us to study to be quiet. Let our words be few. Let us speak with your wisdom. And help us to identify words that come our way, or even words that we have internalized, that have set themselves up as idols on our hearts. Cause us to dethrone those words, the words that opposes your scripture, the words that oppose what you have laid out. Speak to our hearts, Father. Cause us to overturn and destroy every idle word. Thank you, Father. You said we shall give an account for every idle word. So help us to destroy them. Get them out of us. Program us according to your scripture. We are willing. We are open to your word. Speak to our hearts this day. In the name of Mashiach Yahusha, we give you praise, honor, and esteem. And we thank you for every person that has been on the Omer Challenge, which is a reflection of ourselves and what we need to do to be a better bride, preparing ourselves for what is to come. Father, thank you for all things in the name of Mashiach Yahusha. Hallel to Yahuwah. Amen. If you have prayer requests, questions, or just want to fellowship, you can email me at info@mylivingbranch.org. And don't worry, I'm the only one that receives those emails, so you don't have to worry about prying eyes. Alrighty, so the Hebrew Passover story, Hebrew 10 Commandments, trust me, they are great tools to use to teach and train your children. Take advantage of them. Just go to Amazon, search for the titles, and you can purchase them there. The book store is back up. If you would like to become part of the Book Market Witnessing team, you can do so. Just go to the website, bm.hebrewfoundation.org. And if you would like to donate to the cause to help us to continue to do what we do, you can donate online. There's an online donation button right there in the stream. Do it through mail, PayPal, Cash App. Hopefully in the future we'll be doing digital assets too, even more. So hey, we're glad the Father helped us to go through and help us to realize, and improve ourselves. This is what this is all about. So just remember, Ms. Bakar, we love you. We appreciate you. We're here to help. I have people reach out to me all the time. If I can't, guide you in the right direction, I'll find somebody that can. Because it's not all about me. It's about trying to help those that need guidance. Sometimes, everybody's skill set might not be suited for your situation. Then we have to find someone's skill set that is. That's what help is all about. All right. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Miss Bakar. And for those that are going to be going into Shavuot this evening, just remember, don't overdo your eating. Because I already can see, boy, we ready to chow down and get it on. Feast day time. All right, Mr. Bakar, I love you. Shabbat Shalom. Let's make this the best Shabbat ever.